Would you consider it a mixtape?
Um, would I consider it a mixtape?
Zen tapes. You
Zen
consider it
tape?
a mixtape?
Yeah, Zen tapes is definitely a mixtape. Zen tapes is like my baby in the sense of what kind of like took me to where I am now with my music.
Right.
I say it's like a mixtape because it's really just like a tape that I made for myself that kind of, not even kind of, like the whole intention of Zen tapes is to find ways to find peace. Like I made Zen tapes during a really weird time in my life and I had like no way of expressing it the way that I wanted to express it, I guess. And Zen tapes was like my freedom of expression in that sense.
Okay.
But yeah, Zen tapes is definitely like an amateur mixtape that I did just to see what I could like really do with my art, I guess.
Okay. So in many ways you were experimenting because it does have a very like alternative kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
But your single "Tell Me I Do" that sounded very neo soul.
Yeah.
So what dragged you in so many different directions? It's almost like they're polar opposites.
Yeah. Well, what dragged me in so many like different directions with my music, you know, from Zen tapes to Tell Me and like the future stuff that I'm going to do, I guess it's just like finding my pocket, like finding what feels right. Like I love music and I'm like open to exploring the different genres of music and like the different ranges that I could like experiment with. But at the end of the day, I have more fun and I have more of like a healing experience when I find my pocket, like when I'm singing within my range, like that perfect spot for me. You know what I mean?
So what initially inspired you to pursue a career in music?
I've always loved music since I was a little kid. It's kind of like ironic that we're doing it here in Baisley because this is like my stomping grounds. Like this is where I grew up and my introduction to music because Southside is like full of musicians all over when you think about it. Like we have LL Cool J, 50 Cent, Nicki Minaj, and a few other, Count Basie for example. So for me, it's just like I've always been around music and it's one of the easiest ways I can express myself. Like I love writing. I love listening to sound and the vibrations that it gives off. And I was just like, I took a break from it. Like I was doing poetry for a little bit just to like still find that way to express myself musically and poetically. But then I found my way back because it was like I said, like another healing experience. And I managed to find a community of people who were doing it too. And I vibed with, and they were like encouraging me and giving me that support I needed to get to that next level.
Right.
And I was just like, you know, why not? This seems to be something that I'm really passionate about. I've found a tribe of amazing creatives who are supportive and who I want to support as well. So it's just like, just keep going.
Right.
And
So in many ways it's about community, right?
yeah.
So can you describe your creative process from the inception of a song to its performance? What do I mean? Do you hear the beat, then you get an idea, or do you have an emotion? Do you write, and then you try to fit that to a piece of music? Like, how do you do it?
I would say my creative process consists of multiple things. Usually it starts off with a beat. Like I've kind of tailored my YouTube algorithm a certain way. I like to say the universe gives me music because it's just like random beats that pop up and I'm able to find words to it, like a vibe with it, and then just start writing. Like specifically, I would say I start off with like humming, finding my flow with it, and then just like freestyling with whatever comes to mind, like whatever words come to mind. And then, you know, like to actually make a song like Tell Me, for example, or even like Bombastic Side Eye, I sit with it a lot of times and like I'll go back and like rewrite the lyrics. I'll like spend time, meditate on it, and until I feel like it's like right there, like where I want it to be.
So, what kind of emotions or messages do you do you try to convey through your music?
That's an interesting question. I guess the messages that I try to convey through my
Or
music
emotion?
or emotions,
Or is it a situation where you're not even thinking about it, it's just whatever comes out?
it depends. Sometimes I'm not thinking about it, but a lot of the times I do my best to be intentional with my writing
Right.
because I want it to be a feeling that another person can relate to. Like, it's for me. My music is technically for me because it's my way of expressing myself, but
Yeah.
it's also a way for me to give name or like give meaning to what another person is experiencing, but they can't explain it. You know, like that's also another reason why I started going into neo soul because
Yeah.
I felt like that's where I could like find that pocket of affirmational music. I
Okay.
want my music to be like healing, inspirational, but relatable, not too like specific because everybody's going through their own journey.
Right.
But I want it to be like something that you could listen to when you're in that emotion of lost or you're in that emotion of like transitioning from breakup into healing and finding yourself.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just basically affirmational.
So, you might have mentioned this before, but are there any specific artists or genres that have directly influenced your style? Um,
I would say the genres and like artists that have
yeah.
influenced my style would be for one, like reggae music.
Right.
I grew up on that because I'm Jamaican, and it's funny, my dad kind of forced me to listen to Bob Marley,
Yeah.
but I still appreciated his music and the message that he carried within it by at the same time creating like this very ethereal sound for us to experience, a very like emancipating sound for us to experience. So I definitely try to like incorporate my background with reggae music, incorporate like Amy Winehouse, for example. I love like her range of sound, like what she can do with her voice, kind of like Kali Uchis as well and SZA.
Right.
They've definitely inspired some of my like musical taste, like in terms of like the beats that I've tried to navigate to.
Right.
And then some old school music too, like Stevie Wonder, El DeBarge. Who else? You have a little bit of the Jacksons, like more so like Michael and Janet, and Sade as well. Like I've always listened to Sade, but now that I'm like learning more about making music, I find that her style of making music is very like, it shoots me, like it creates this like, I don't know, kind of like etheric sound again. Like it's full. Her music is well layered and it's just like all over, like very surround soundish. So I kind of like
Right.
want to do that too with the mystical feel that I try to give off with my music.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Her music is kind of it's almost like it's engulfing in a
Yeah,
weird way.
yeah, exactly.
So, what would you consider the most challenging part of taking music professionally, or like trying to be, do music seriously? Like, what's the most
Yeah.
challenging thing for you?
I feel like the most challenging thing when it comes to taking my music to the next level professionally is more so me, honestly, like the self-doubt that kind of comes with it. Like I'm a person who I do my best to have solutions for problems, so like the intricacies of the music industries, I feel like I can navigate that well, especially with the tribe that I have.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like pushing myself and getting to that next point and realizing that like, hey, I'm here, like I did it, just keep doing it. Sometimes I kind of get in the way because it's been a long journey to this point, and like I said, I've always wanted to being at this point and recognizing like, wow, we're here. What's next? You know,
Right.
just keep going. Don't self-sabotage. Don't overthink it. I managed to get here, and where can I go next besides forward? You know.
So, piggybacking off of that, how has your music evolved over the years from when you started till now?
I really like that question because it's something that I've thought about, I should say. I would say that my music has evolved from when I started, whether that be like when I was like 5 and making jingles and stuff, to like Zen tapes, to now with Tell Me and my future EP coming out. I would say that I'm not bullshitting myself anymore. You know, like, or rather, I should say, can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sure.
I just have to be straight up, you know, like,
Sure.
I'm not BSing anymore. Like, I'm not playing around. Like, I'm taking myself more seriously and experimenting, like being more open to experimenting with what my voice can do and what my art can do. Like whether, like for example, Zen tapes, it was like an amateur tape, but I was rapping. Like I've never really rapped before, and a lot of people seem to like it, and I liked it too. It was cool. And then now I'm like really singing and experimenting with like my range of sound with the music that I'm making now, like Tell Me and Follow I and other stuff. And people are vibing with it. So it's just a matter of, like I said, just like not doing the bare minimum, keep pushing, just keep going forward, and not bullshitting.
So, is there any feedback that you've gotten um, that was really memorable? I don't know if it's from somebody who's a fan or a supporter. You know, like what part of that, like between the content creator or the singer and like fan dynamic that have really inspired you in any way? Like, you know, did somebody say, "Hey, your music inspired me," or whatever? You know.
Um, One feedback that stuck with me,
Yeah.
it was from like, it was from a person in the audience. I guess like I wouldn't really say a fan, but someone that was listening to my music. Like it was my first time like really performing,
Right.
and I was performing with one of my friends, Trace, and the person came up to me. I was really nervous, first of all, and the person came up to me, and he was like, "Oh, you're really good," and he was like, "You know, you just have some work to do." So I, like something along the line. So I
Yeah.
asked him like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "You know, just stop. You're bullshitting yourself." Going back to what I said before,
Yeah.
like you're bullshitting yourself, and I really had to sit with myself and understand what he meant by that. Like he elaborated and said like when you're singing, try singing in the mirror, like look at yourself. And I got where he meant. Like I basically took it as be more confident. Like when I was singing in the mirror, I saw like how nervous I looked.
Yeah.
And that it was projecting and kind of stopping my voice from going farther than I know it can go. So yeah, it just really stuck with me because it was like, okay, if this person can see that I'm holding back, then I need to be able to see it and stop it. Because clearly I'm the person getting in the way of me, you know, elevating what I could do.
Okay. So, if somebody wanted to find out who you were, but they could only do so by listening to your music, what specific song would you recommend and why?
Like, listen to my playlist or a song that I made.
Well, any song in your playlist. Like, what song you think most defines you?
That's a good question. There's so many songs. I guess
Or is there a collection of songs?
there's a collection. There's a collection. But for right now, the one that's like coming to mind is Find Your Wings by Tyler, the Creator. Like, to me, that song was basically saying, find a way to, like, stand up for yourself, stand tall, and just go, just flow, just fly, you know, just elevate. And within that song, like, as he was talking and the people in the background were singing too, it was just like, really freeing. Like it was just a song about like freeing yourself from whatever that's holding you down. Find your wings and just go, just fly away.
Okay, dope. All right, last question. Well, not really a question. Do
Yeah.
you have any upcoming projects you want to talk about briefly?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really excited about my first EP coming out within like the next few months or so. Um, I'm working on the title, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be announced soon. But it's gonna be a lot of like great music. It's really gonna describe who I am, and it's gonna be really affirmational too. So I'm excited. I also have a show coming up. It's basically gonna be like a live release party of my EP. That's gonna be later on in the summer with a couple of my friends and some dope merchandise possibly. But yeah, I got a lot of like amazing stuff coming up. So definitely look out for that and tune in.
All right. Thank you.